Monkey.
What's good? What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? All right, let me close that. Let me shut that down right there. Hope everybody's doing well. Man Eater on the Twitch side, what's going on? Hello, hello, hello. All right, it's not there. Let's see, what else am I seeing here? No. Off center. These are all the post stuff, right? The stuff that you're supposed to already have checked. Don't have any lights on in the back. Like, are you even streaming if you don't have bisexual lighting behind you? You know what I mean? Like, are you even streaming at that point? There we go. Oh shit! Now we're live. That's what's up. Put purple or teal. I think it rotates exactly between that. Not my name over on the YouTube side. What's going on? Thank you for holding it up, holding it down over there. That's what's up. Ooh-wee. The weekend is done, and we're here. We're here. Man-Eater, I already know how your weekend went. Not my name. Hope your long weekend. I don't know if you celebrate Easter or not, if you spent time with family, or if you just hung out. Hopefully you work in a job that gave you a long weekend. I know mine did. I haven't had to go to work since last year. What's going on, Dr. Midnight? What's going on? Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. I got a little story for you here in a little bit. Once people come in. What were you up to, Dr. Midnight? Did you do anything this weekend? We went to go visit I went to go visit the in-laws, and that was definitely damn. That's what's up. That's what's up, Dr.
Stop.
Midnight. Coming in with 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. That's fucking awesome. Did you do anything for Easter? Did you hang out? Did you enjoy some time off? I know some people, they work extra. I hear. Man, that's awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I really do. Rested with time off. That's what's up. I would have done that. Except Maneater said, we're going to Florida. That's what's up. Yeah, we definitely had some drama there. I'll get into that in a little bit though. Definitely will get into that in just a tad. It was, you know what though? I'm weird. The kind of drama that happened over the weekend is like the kind of drama that I'm kind of okay with, especially since it's not like my immediate family. Like maybe if it were my mom or something, it'd be a little bit more stressed out or something. I don't know. But I was like, cool. We're getting a new cat, maybe even a new dog. We'll see how that goes. Definitely a new cat. The cat is coming tomorrow. Lasagna is the name. And so it's an orange cat. Pretty sure they were going with something like Garfield. And the cat literally knows how to use the toilet. Pees in the toilet. Like that's an automatic. Like even if you're on the edge about getting another pet in the house, like yes, but this one pees in the toilet. Maneater, can you text Nightmare Boy and ask him for that picture? I want to show it. I want to show it. I've never seen this like in real life. Like I'm gonna have one. Like I'm gonna have a cat to where if I leave the door open, it'll jump on the toilet and take a piss in the toilet. And I think, you know what? That's pretty cool. That's pretty. I'm here for it. Yeah. So I have this rule. About family. I've talked about this before. Here's the thing. The fact of the matter is that whether or not I know some people don't agree with this. I've heard people talk about this with regard to like, no, you know, if you're a principal, then you're not gonna even let your parents get away with this, that, or you know, X, Y, Z. And I'm just like, look, I'd rather have a workable relationship with my mom and dad than have to disown them. Like eventually I could, you know what I mean? Like if they, you know, join the KKK or something crazy. I don't know. I don't know what the line would have to be. But I just know that as of right now, they haven't crossed that line. But the word is, the really, the rule is that I'm just, you know, it's a rule most people have, but you know, most people break it. I'm like pretty strict with this rule, and it's do not talk about religion or politics with family. You know what I mean? Well, with family who you know you're gonna disagree with. KKK Christopher. And I'm like, I did so good. It's gonna be sad if Blurred misses this, because Blurred would definitely enjoy this story. To hear how Maneater couldn't keep her cool. couldn't keep her cool. So the short of it is this. The short of it is that, so pretty much everybody on our extended families are conservative. Okay. You know, moms and dads. I think her dad is like, I think her dad is fairly like super like, I don't know, I call him probably like left leaning centrist or some shit, right? but like my parents, her mom, and then her mom's fiance are all pretty conservative, like Trump voters. So we went down and we went to go visit this Florida this past weekend, and it went as it starts off like how it usually does. Hey, what's going on? How are things? Like, oh wow, that's a nice car. Did you get a new car? Blah blah blah. Oh wow, this blah 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 blah. The weather's crazy and blah blah blah. We go get some food and we start drinking. That is probably about where things start going a little south, maybe. And things are going well. My brother was recently shot. That's probably another story I could tell. But my brother was shot, and I'm telling this group of people the story, and I'm talking about how it's crazy. He raises dogs. He breeds dogs for a living, and it looked like they showed up to try to rob him, and it really was it. There was no politics involved. There was no like hidden message. It was just, this is crazy. You want to see a picture of my brother with a bullet hole in his leg? And thanks, I appreciate that. He's probably not going to walk right ever again. It hit an artery, it severed nerves. It was actually, when I found out it was in the leg, I was like, oh, phew, it was only in the leg. And then it turns out, oh wow, it was a really big deal. It was he actually almost died. But yeah, that's the conversation I'm having right there, right? I'm telling them a story about how my brother almost died, and the dad, surprisingly the dad, because the dad doesn't drink, so he wasn't drunk or anything like that. He decides to go, so you think that the guy who shot your brother, it probably deserves to go to prison, right? I'm like, already, all right, where is this going? Sure. All right, thanks. Yeah. He belongs in prison. And I love seeing this picture. I'm like, yeah, sure, he belongs in prison. And he goes, well then, what's going on, Elite X1? Dr. Unstoppable, what's going on? Right now we're just BSing for a little bit. I'm telling a little how my weekend went, and then we're gonna get into it. Topics are right there in the stream title. I haven't talked about any of that yet, so we're about to get into it. And nice to meet you too. So just to hurry up with the story, I see where he's going with it. I'm like, well, he goes, why? So can I ask you a question? Why do, we all have different opinions here. It's okay. We can have this conversation. I'm thinking to myself, don't do it. And he's like, why do, Democrats, not want to put these people in prison? Why does, what's going on with stop and release and this and that? I'm like, catch and release. I'm just kind of like, oh my God. And I'm like, well, you kind of have to start with the premise. You want me to accept the premise about, and it starts off as many of these do, right? It's not anything crazy, but we're not agreeing. I'm like, well, I mean, we're still the most populated. We still have the most overpopulated prison population. We have the highest prison population in the world, bar none. Completely no one even comes close. So I really don't think we're just not putting people in prison. People get put in prison all the time. First part, he goes, well, I'll show you this article right here about how he doesn't have to, about this guy who committed a felony, and he was a repeat felon, and he had shot somebody and then went to prison and then got released, and then he shot somebody again. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Send me the video. I think obviously I had heard something about it. So then he goes to look for it on the internet, right? Now hold that in your pocket. He goes to look for it on the internet. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate that, Dr. Unstoppable. Why are my events not popping up here? I don't like that. There we go. All right. So yeah, so then I, and then I start talking about how, like, actually, crime is going down. This is just fear mongering, and you always got to put it like the pundits are fear mongering, the media, right? Because I like to like try to talk to people in a way that's not gonna like automatically put them off, right? So I'm like I'm fine. Like, let's call it media. Let's call it pundits, whatever. I'm not gonna talk about because actually, to be honest with you, even though I'm doing it for like a effective communication thing, I'm also doing it because it's true. Because CNN fucking has been putting out bullshit. New York Times has been putting out bullshit. I mean, these people. It's not just Fox News, even though like Fox News and Newsmax are the most egregious. Liberal place. Media is doing the same sort of bullshit, right? He goes, where's that? I'm like, well, here, let me show you a study on how crime is going down. He's like, well, you got to be careful now because you're looking it up on Google. I'm like, where did you find your article? Well, that was on a news site. How did you get to the news site? Didn't you Google it? Didn't you have to Google it? He's like, well, see, I'm not trying to, you're trying to do gotchas here. I'm like, no, you're already shooting down what I'm about to show you because I'm using Google, but you use Google. So he gets up, he goes to the room. That was it. That was all it took. In his defense, I think he said he was tired, and he said, maybe he realized at that point this was a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Benji wasn't here. Hey girl, what's up, girl? How you doing? I forgot where he asked me if we should build more prisons. Yeah. He asked, should we build more prisons? He said, Maneater goes, see, Maneater's not about like, she just says shit. She like, this is what I feel, so I'm saying it. She goes, we're prison abolitionists. I'm like, you can't have a conversation with Republicans and say, they don't know what the fuck that means. You know what I mean? So I'm like, that's too complicated. That's too complicated. That's yeah, she's right. And I'm not going to like say she's lying, but like, that's a totally different conversation. You know what I mean? And the only thing people hear when they hear prison abolitionists is that you think that murderers and rapists should just be walking around and no consequences. And I'm like, okay, this is stupid. So I put the track back on the thing, even though Maneater was trying her best to like, no, fuck this track, and then yoinking the wheel, because trains have steering wheels. Just follow me, okay? So his son sticks around, and we start getting into it. He's talking about how DI created racism. He starts talking to me about how that because his industry supposedly is 50-60% black and brown business owned. I said, what does that have to do with the country? He flips out at one point because I'm pretty sure he's a cokehead who has anger issues, starts screaming at me, and I had to yell back and let him know I'm not the one. And then he like backs down. He's like, what I'm saying is, that guy, that was probably the craziest moment right there. And that kind of scared her mom, because he tried to yell at me, and I'm like that's not gonna happen like that. You know what I mean? So I wish it had been recorded. But that was kind of crazy. But then it kind of came back down, and it was crazy because it really ended here. I go, well, do you realize that 85-93% of businesses are owned by white people? Right? Because we're talking about DEI. We're talking about how do we adjust the wealth disparity. By the way, they're very, very wealthy business owners, the dad and the son I'm talking to. So I said, how do you explain this? He goes, "Who says that?" I go, "Bro, it's right here, Pew Research Center." Ask me why this dude responded with, "What's that?" At first I thought maybe he meant like, who are they? Like, why, why would you just automatically believe them or something like that, which is still stupid, but no. This dude who I'd wasted all this time on, had never heard of Pew Research. And I realized at that moment that was 45 minutes, an hour of my life I would never get back. I was that much closer to death. And I was talking with a complete moron. So that was my Easter. Dr. Midnight, I'm glad you had a more peaceful one. Dr. Unstoppable says, yeah, it feels like everyone on TV is just trying to rally the base and no one's trying to convince people who don't already agree with them. Yeah, and that's kind of like what I was hoping to do. Whenever I talk to people, this is why I did the panel last week, because I have no interest. It is not fun for me to talk with people who we're just yelling and talking past each other. It's not fun. I don't want to do it. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my energy. I want to talk with somebody at least who is pretending to talk to me. Or I don't mind maybe doing it and, maybe I know somebody else might be learning. But this is like at a barbecue and it's like, these people don't know. This dude's never heard of Pew Research. I'm like, bro, okay, you're an idiot. We can't have this conversation. I told parents I do not want certain family members to come over. That is actually pretty smart. That is actually very smart. And Maneater's right. You got to have boundaries. That's where you messed up. They weren't ready to have that convo when I knew that from the start. Oh, that's cool. You read their mind like that, but I like giving people the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? So let's have this conversation and I let them show their ass after, or like I let them show, hang. I give them all the rope they need. You know what I'm saying? All right. Before we get into headlines, let's go over what we're talking about today. Oh man. Oh, damn it. Maneater did go ham. I have a feeling that if I leave that topic without saying that, she's gonna like, why didn't you tell them? Like I cussed him out. Maneater was not having it. Maneater was very quick to make sure he knew all his positions were racist as fuck. So gotta give it to her. You gotta give it to her. She gave there were no fucks to be had from Maneater at that table. Damn, where is it? Oh, it's in Discord. That's where it was. Oh my god. Yep. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Where was it? It's in Twitter isn't real. Olayemi. Olayemi. That is how you say what I've been saying. Olayemi in Olurinati. It's Olayemi. So she got into it with Mayor Eric Adams, and we're gonna talk about that today. It's funny because what I wanted to do before getting into Eric Adams, and we'll see that I'm gonna show you all the cat that we're gonna be adopting tomorrow, and I'm gonna show you a picture of it peeing in the toilet here in a second. But she got into it with Mayor Eric Adams, and since it's on the Breakfast Club, it's one of those kind of like snap on your feet things to where you don't really have the opportunity to be like, well, actually you're wrong, and here, let me pull this up on the screen and show you why, right? It's very fast, it's very fluid, it's real time conversation. Beta, what's going on, Rough Rider? Welcome back. And so what I wanted to do was like, you know what? I want to go through all these points and I want to highlight what she's talking about, because she's referencing stuff, but she, because it's the Breakfast Club, she can't really put it up. So I'm like, today I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. You know what I mean? I might be getting an art review by a pro comic artist later tonight around 9:30, 10 p.m. Not guaranteed for tonight, but I will try to be here and there at the same time. Probably. That's what's up. That's what's up. I'm with you. I'm not even mad at you. That's pretty awesome. Getting your book reviewed. Might getting an art review. Getting your art reviewed. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So do your thing. Do your thing. But yeah, I had this whole plan. I'm like, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna do a thing. Do a little video. Well, Olay is not a boss for nothing. She already put that video out, so we'll go through the interview, and then we're gonna watch where she actually put the receipts up. And then we're gonna go right into. It's funny, we were talking shit about this on Discord. Poor Elite X1. Elite X1 shares a Jubilee video, and everybody, including myself, was like, man, fuck Jubilee. I fucking hate Jubilee. I'm trying to imagine Elite X1 being like, God damn, I just want to share a fucking video. Like, sorry, we didn't jump his shit. We jumped Jubilee's shit, just to be clear. And to be fair, Jubilee is on that bullshit sometimes. However, today I saw one that I couldn't not watch, given my history with religion. I wish it was Jubilee from the X-Men. Imagine Jubilee, a podcast by Jubilee. I think that'd be pretty dope. But this one is Black Christians versus Black atheists. And, I've been told many times, like, stay out of Black business. But I like to assess for myself which business to be in and out of. This is one that I'm going to be like, nah, I'm putting my nose all the way in this business. So I want to watch it. I want to see what these Christians have to say. And I will give a quick content warning for anyone who I don't know. Maybe some of y'all haven't heard me talk about religion, or maybe some of y'all kind of new. I'm pretty anti-religious. Let me just say, I'm pretty anti-religious, and while I respect people's Christianity, there's moderators who are Christian. My wife believes in a God. I wouldn't say she's Christian, but she's not an atheist. And I'm just kind of like, I think it's doo-doo water. So just be warned that I'm probably gonna have a lot of shit talking to say about the Christian side. So I will give the disclaimer now. I'm typically talking about those evangelical, deep Southern Baptist Christians, the same Christians who are responsible for the homophobia and transphobia in Black and brown communities. And if you're not that type, I'm probably not talking about you, and I'm probably love you just the same. I sometimes I'm bad with my language, and I'm like, all Christians are garbage, doo-doo water, and really I should be more specific with my language with regard to who I'm talking about. Okay. All right. Got it. Yeah. I guess keep them DMing me. So we're gonna kick this off like we usually do. Democracy Now. We're gonna start with headlines and what's going on in the world, and we're gonna get into Olayemi. I'm gonna say it right. I'm gonna get this right. Olayemi, and of Olurin, talking with Mayor Adams, and then the receipt video, and then we're gonna get into that Black Christians versus Black atheists. Here we go. Headlines coming up. Let's go.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Chef Jose Andres' World Central Kitchen has suspended aid operations in Gaza after an Israeli airstrike killed 6 international workers from the charity and a Palestinian driver. The aid workers were struck after they left a warehouse in Deir Abala, where they had unloaded more than 100 tons of food aid that had been brought into Gaza by ship from Cyprus. The aid workers were driving in a clearly marked convoy branded with the charity's logo. World Central Kitchen said the attack occurred even though they'd coordinated in advance with the Israeli military. Aaron Gore, the CEO of World Central Kitchen, said, quote, "This is not only an attack against WCK, this is an attack on humanitarian organizations showing up in the most dire of situations where food is being used as a weapon of war. This is unforgivable," unquote. Earlier today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledged Israel carried out the attack, saying, quote, "Unfortunately, over the last day, there was a tragic incident of an unintended strike of our forces on innocent people in the Gaza Strip," he said. The killed aid workers include 3.
What I found interesting about that statement is that they go, "Oh, this one was unintentional." I'm like, okay, all right, so this one was unintentional. So, I mean, is that kind of like admitting the rest of them are definitely intentional? Like, yeah, those, we didn't give 2 fucks about those civilians. This one, God damn it, we messed up on.
3 British nationals, an Australian, a Polish national, and an American-Canadian dual citizen. 2 of the aid workers were filmed inside Gaza prior to the attack.
There is the black lemon, there is some chili, there is 7 mixed spices, bay leaves, salt, pepper, and tomato paste.
Indeed. So this is the beautiful, fragrant, aromatic rice that will be served today from Jirabala Kitchen. Thank you.
Both of those aid workers are now dead. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said he was shocked and saddened by the attack. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese also condemned the attack and demanded accountability from Israel.
This is a human tragedy that should never have occurred.
Haiti appears to have no end in sight. Recently resigned Prime Minister of Syria killing at least broadcast. This is in addition to the recent U.S. approval of 1,800 2,000-pound bomb. Reuters is reporting the Biden administration.
I hate when I go forward by accident and then I'm like, damn it, where was I? That's good. That's good right there, right? Yeah, right there is good. Your mic is lower than the video you're playing, by the way. Bet. Okay.
Continues its assault in defiance of last week's UN Security Council ceasefire resolution. In Rafah, an Israeli airstrike killed 4 people, including 2 children. Meanwhile, Reuters is reporting the Biden administration is considering a new $18 billion arms package for Israel that would include dozens of F-15 aircraft. This is in addition.
I do not give 2 fucks what anybody has to say about not voting, about voting third party, about voting uncommitted in the primaries, talking about how you're how you're selfish, privileged. Oh, I guess you want no. And by the way, it's not lost on me that that you can go back 3 months and hear me say all the same things. I understand that I was wrong, and I've definitely changed my mind. Do I think Trump is worse? Obviously, that's really a no-brainer. I don't really care to like deal with the I don't the arguments that kind of queep about what how they're the same or where their differences are. That's fine. I would say arguably, right? Not inarguably, but arguably he's worse. This shit right fucking here is exactly why Biden will lose. If he loses, this is why. Hopefully he doesn't. But I will say this much, Elite X1. I will say this much. He is the lesser. but that lesser is becoming damn near microscopic as the days go. You know what I mean? They vote to they abstain from a vote in which the Security Council votes to enforce to declare that Israel needs to have a ceasefire. Nothing happens. They continue to strike. The U.S. does nothing. And then wants to send $18 billion more their way in the face of a genocide that's happening. There is no amount of third-party voting that will make me angry and think, you idiots, cost us the election. This shit right here is going to cost them the election.
In addition to the recent U.S. approval of 1,800 2,000-pound bombs and 500 500-pound bombs, as well as 25 F-35 fighter jets. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will ban the award-winning TV network Al Jazeera after Israeli lawmakers passed a bill allowing for the temporary banning of foreign broadcasters deemed to be a national security threat. Al Jazeera is the most widely viewed network in the Arab world and is one of the few outlets to have reporters inside Gaza. Iran has vowed to retaliate after Israel bombed the Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria, killing at least 7 people, including 3 senior Iranian commanders and at least 4 other Iranian officers. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the death toll could be as high as 11. Mohammad Reza Zahedi, a senior commander in the Al-Quds force, he's said to be the highest-ranking Iranian military officer to be killed since the U.S. assassinated General Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad in 2020.
Thank you for the bits, man-eater. Because Trump getting into office while his anti-POC shit going on right now will be seriously fucked. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. My question is this. What are, I mean, there are bills that have been passed, right? We've gone over this whole thing. Yeah. 5 tier 1 subs coming from Maneater 087. Thank you. Thank you. We got paid yesterday, so there is that's what's up. That's what's up. Saving people. 500 biddies from Sigfang, Architect of Sin. Hype Train is getting close. Gift, and use bits. Thank you. Thank you. And this stupid attack on DEI. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I've been asking myself. Yes, bills have been passed. Yes, the economy is better for the economy. But the fact of the matter is that what is right now, DEI is under attack. Right now, Florida's passing laws. States are passing laws to make DEI illegal, to put whatever textbooks they want in their schools. Putting razor wire on their borders. Okay, we'll move it out of the river. We'll put it on our shore. That way, you can't tell us what to do with it. And what is Biden doing? What is happening? Except this is bad. He's doing the same thing to the states who are attacking the LGBTQ community, the black community, the brown community, anybody who's not white. Any state that has a preponderance of white supremacy and is doing everything they can in their state legislation to make gay and trans people's lives hell, to disenfranchise people from voting. He's not doing anything to stop it. You know what I mean? We have 2 Democratic senators in Georgia, and still they're passing laws that limit care to trans kids, that disenfranchise people from voting. What is Biden's administration doing to protect anybody? You know?
Iran's ambassador to Syria, Hossein Akbari, condemned Israel for striking a diplomatic building.
We told you before, the Zionist entity knows very well that such crimes and any kind of crimes will not remain without response.
Primary elections are being held today in Wisconsin, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New York. In Wisconsin, activists are urging voters to cast their ballots for uninstructed. Inspired by Michigan's Uncommitted campaign, Palestinian rights advocates, union members, and low-wage and immigrant workers have rallied behind the push to vote uninstructed, an option on Wisconsin ballots that allows delegates to make their picks at the party conventions rather than selecting a preferred candidate at the polling site. Here in New York, the Leave It Blank campaign similarly urges Democrats to voice their opposition to Biden's support for Israel's assault on Gaza by withholding their vote and submitting a blank ballot. The initiative is backed by the Working Families Party, If Not Now, Jewish Voice for Peace, Empower Action, Sunrise Movement, and other groups.
This right here, let me tell you something about how fucking annoying liberals are. Like, really fucking annoying. This right here was getting shit on during the primaries. The part where, like, this is where you are supposed to send your message. And yet they're called immature. They're called having temper tantrums. You know what I mean? Hillary Clinton, there's a clip of her out there talking about how people need to get over it and there's only two choices. This is sending a message, and I'm gonna tell you something. It's getting traction. It's getting traction, and they're noticing.
The Florida Supreme Court issued two critical decisions on abortion Monday. In a major blow for abortion access across the southern United States, Florida's highest court ruled abortion rights are not constitutionally protected, allowing a near-total abortion ban to go into effect. The 6-week ban provides exceptions for rape, incest, fetal anomalies, and medical emergencies. But reproductive rights advocates hope the legislation will be short-lived, since the Florida Supreme Court also ruled Monday a referendum enshrining the right to an abortion in the state's constitution can appear on the November ballot. The Florida Supreme Court also okayed a ballot initiative to legalize recreational marijuana. The ballot measures require a 60% majority to pass.
Where is the where is Biden, and where is the federal protections for women? How are we pushing forward with this sort of with the protection that they're promising from the Democratic Party? The Supreme Court has said more or less that states can choose what they want for abortion. So now in our 50 states, we have states that are allowed to go, you know what, 4 weeks. 4 weeks. That's what we're calling it. You know, to where, you know, most women don't know. Many women don't know by that time.
Germany, a new law went into effect Monday, legalizing the personal possession of up to 25 grams of cannabis.
There we go.
It also allows individuals
See, there's good news here too. You know, there's good news here too.
to cultivate up to 3 marijuana plants at home. Cannabis will remain illegal for anyone under 18, as some health professionals warn the new legislation could increase smoking among young people. At midnight Monday, people gathered at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate for a smoke-in to celebrate.
If you really go into education instead of criminalization.
What's up, Blurred? Yeah, you missed it. I have Maneater tell it. She'll tell it better.
And that's the right way to go now. I think you can definitely bring awareness to it, because no matter what kind of consumption it is, alcohol, marijuana, maybe other things too, the most important thing is always safer use and harm reduction. So always make yourself aware of what is actually a healthy dose. The dose makes the poison.
Let
me tell y'all something. That's a smart motherfucker right there. That is extremely intelligent. I wish I heard more people like that from random people on the street getting interviewed. The dose makes the poison. That is basic chemistry. Anything is poisonous at a certain dose. Water is poisonous at a certain dose. You know, when you start drinking too much water at once, it strips you of electrolytes. Your brain can't communicate. people in basic training have or boot camp have literally died because they were forced to drink too much too fast. That is something else.
Violence continues to plague Haiti as armed groups and police trade more gunfire overnight Monday in Port-au-Prince. At least 5 people were killed.
I got a phone call this morning. They told me that my father had died. I was astonished, and when I arrived, I saw him lying on the
Biden needs to not just campaign on these rights and what he's going to be doing. He needs to be clear about what can happen. Like how is he going to push? If he doesn't get it codified, what does that mean? Like if the Democratic Party cannot get protections for trans kids, for black and brown people, for abortion, for people who can give birth, if he can't codify that, then what the fuck is, what does it matter? You know what I mean? What does it matter if he's up to the state? What if then it really doesn't even matter who's president at that point, right? We go back to the original way the country was when we were first formed, where the federal government didn't really have any power. It was all based on the state you lived in. And white supremacists want that. That way we can go back to the days where, well, these states right here are ran by white supremacists, and it sucks to be there unless you're white. And then those states are like, hell yeah. Think about all the times that people will say, oh, well, I'm leaving. I have to get out of here. And they're like, good. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And that's what they want. And what is Biden doing that,
floor.
The spiraling political turmoil in Haiti appears to have no end in sight. Recently resigned Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who remains locked out of Haiti by the armed groups, raised questions this week over the constitutionality of a transitional council, which is being formed to serve as an interim governing body until elections are scheduled. This comes as Canadian forces have been sent to Jamaica to train troops from Caribbean nations to join the UN-authorized mission to Haiti. Last week, the UN human rights chief called for an arms embargo on Haiti, calling the situation there cataclysmic. The majority of guns pouring into Haiti are smuggled in from Florida and other parts of the United States. New York Judge Juan Merchan expanded a gag order on Donald Trump Monday ahead of his April 15th criminal hush money trial, barring Trump from attacking the judge's family members. Among other things, Trump called Merchan's daughter a, quote, rabid Trump hater and shared a photo of her on social media. Meanwhile, Trump posted a $175 million bond in a civil fraud case Monday as he appeals the $464 million judgment against him. The bond is underwritten by the California-based Knight Specialty Insurance Company. The company is owned by billionaire Don Hankey, who's been dubbed the king of subprime car loans and is the largest shareholder in Axos Bank, which has provided financial services to Trump and Jared Kushner's family businesses. And the 2024 Izzy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Independent Media will be shared by In These Times and journalists Mohammed El-Kurd, Lindsay Billing, Trina Reynolds-Tyler, and Sarah Conway. The award this year recognizes reporting by In These Times on worker-centered economic justice stories. Mohammed El-Kurd is the nation's first-ever Palestine correspondent and wrote many things, the right to speak for ourselves. Lindsay Billing chronicled the American military's environmental devastation in Afghanistan for Inside Climate News. Trina Reynolds-Taylor and Sarah Conway produced the 7-part series Missing in Chicago, which exposed police malpractice in the handling of missing persons cases, disproportionately affecting Black women and girls. And Democracy Now! Is receiving special recognition for our coverage of the ongoing war on Gaza. The Izzy Award is named for the dissident journalist I.F. Stone. That's Izzy Stone, and is presented by the Park Center for Independent Media at Ithaca College. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now! Co-host Juan Gonzalez. Hi.
All right. I don't think so, Blurred. I don't think so. Talking about if you're gonna go back to DBD. I saw her play it, and I was like, oh yeah, do that. And like, at first I was like, I'm good. You know what's funny about that game? It has not changed at all. It's like it's the same thing. And I think that's pretty wild, actually. Exact same thing. Here, before I forget, because I did forget last time, this is the cat we're bringing up tomorrow. Check this out. This is Lasagna. Are you asking yourself, oh, did he just jump on that toilet like that? Nah. This cat knows how to use the toilet. This cat right here that you're looking, Lasagna, is taking a piss in the toilet. Just saying. When I heard that, it's like, oh yeah, got it. It's my boy's girlfriend's cat, and I guess, you know, she doesn't want to have to like raise it in the dogs can't do that. Damn, you're right. Damn, do cats win? No, I refuse to believe that cats win. Dogs are awesome. Dogs would just shit on the ground and stare at you and like, you picking that shit up or what? You ain't gonna pick itself up. Does she read the paper too? Oh shit. Oh man. All right. Breakfast Club. Let me ask a question real quick before we do this. Probably a better question is, has anybody watching right now not seen Olay versus Mayor Eric Adams on The Breakfast Club? Has anybody not seen it? Like, I know a lot of us have, but you know, maybe they haven't had the time to. Busy week. Dr. Midnight hasn't. That's all I need. The Elite X1 hasn't. Oh dang, we have more than one. I figured there might be one, but there was two. Yeah, we're watching that. This is too good. This is too good to not watch. I don't really watch The Breakfast Club either, but when I heard Olay and Eric Adams, okay, look here. Let me tell you all something really quick. Like, I'm gonna go over to Olay's channel. She has a video she did on Mayor Eric Adams. It is a complete and total breakdown of Mayor Eric Adams, and it's called everybody. The thumbnail has everybody hates Eric Adams. Eric Adams, the worst mayor in America, and it is an hour and 50 minutes long. It is a whole ass movie. I'm gonna put this in the chat. So wait, no, that's not it. That's the channel, but this is that video. And so if you're even aware of this video and her tweets, you know there was nobody who hates Eric Adams on such a, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, you know how people hate people and then you say, like, why don't you like him? And it's like, I don't know, I just want to punch that motherfucker in the face. Or he's a piece of shit, or he's a bigot, right? Something like, you know? Olay's like, oh, no. I'll tell you. Here's what it said here. Here's the Billy Pass here. Here's the Billy Pass here. Here's where crime has been. Here's what's going on with poverty. Here's what it's like. Tick, 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 2 hours. Wild. What's going on, DSB? First, yet again, that's what's up. Breakfast Club, the radio show is with Charlamagne the God. Yep, that's it. The one who seemed to get super friendly with Candace Owens. So anyways, so she has her big video, lots of tweets. NYPD hates her. She lives in New York. For those who don't know, she is an attorney. She's not an American citizen. She's I don't know. She's either a resident. I don't know exact status, right? She's a resident, but she was a defense attorney for the city. She's an attorney here, and when I saw this, I'm like, oh yeah, we're watching this. So let's get into it. When we CG BRDF, what's going on? Thank you so much for the resub. That's what's up. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Oh, that's a gifted tier. Thanks for the gift to Texas Beast. Appreciate you. That's Praxis. All right, we're gonna watch this. If you guys don't watch Breakfast Club, I get it. I get it. That's like, it's really just pop culture bullshit over there, and then and they're gonna be mostly centrist. I have a feeling, not Charlemagne the God. There's a woman and two dudes. Charlemagne the God's on there. Of course, he's gonna be like, regular lib centrist, whatever the fuck. The other dude, I don't know. I feel like he's low key a conservative. But that's just me. But let's hear it out. Yeah, DJ Envy. Yeah, that's it.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.
Yep, and we got a special guest in the building today. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor
Eric
of New York
Adams
City,
is here.
Eric Adams.
And we also have lawyer and political commentator Olayemi Olurin here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor. What's
How you
happening?
feeling, Mayor?
Good. Even before we get into the conversation, I was with Jordan the other day, my son, and
Olayemi. Call her Olay or Olayemi. I'm only saying that Olayemi, right? Because I'm only saying that because I said Oyalemi like forever and a day until she made the other thing, and she just like, this is how you say my name. Like, goddamn. All right, got it. Won't forget.
somehow your name came up, and there was a group of young.
They're in detention right now, so that's the B-side story.
People in the room talking about politics. It's amazing how so many people are into politics now, and they came up with saying something about, there were people saying that how you were trying to push Trump. And so Jordan pulled up this video, one of your shows, where you broke down each time you were talking about what was wrong about his race.
Are they now? Well, gonna have to see if we can collab. That's good. Look at that. NYC DSA has a Twitch account and they're streaming. If you have the link to their account, please post it in here.
Absolutely. And just broke it down piece by piece. And Jordan said, Dad, you know what? Truth doesn't matter anymore with folks. People don't care about truth.
Nobody cares about the truth.
They don't care about facts. Facts no longer exist.
I've never pushed Trump. I actually do the opposite.
Exactly.
So let me tell you what he's doing right here, right? If it's not already obvious. Like a true politician, he takes the opportunity to jump right in with a little unrelated anecdote about, hey, before we kick this off, I just wanted to tell you, Charlemagne the God, it's just a little ha because my son was showing me. That's pretty crazy how like everybody thought you like were supporting Trump, and then you had to like give all these receipts about how you don't support Trump. Yeah, truth doesn't matter now, does it? I'm sorry, Olay. Do you have something to say? Do you want to say something? Like you set the stage to go, man, people would just believe anything, huh? And then we go from there. So this bitch, right? Let's there's the DSA, the Twitch channel for the New York City DSA, the New York City chapter. If you're cool, you'll follow it.
Yeah.
But we are in a generation where everyone gets up in the morning, look on social media, and whatever's on there, they identify it as the facts.
The headlines.
Exactly. No one goes into the body of the story. Everybody's just, well, you know what? This is what the headlines say, and that's the reality of it. And so it was like an eye-opener for him of how I said, Jordan, for over and over again, that one moment took away all those years of me saying, have your own facts. Don't let anybody define for you. You define for yourself.
That's right.
You know, and that's the power of this. The message will control us.
We got a lot to talk about today.
A lot.
Your city. So
yes.
Today we reported earlier about congestion pricing, right?
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that? I think it's gonna cripple New York City. You got a lot of people. The bridges already, the tolls already high. It's $17, I think, for George Washington. $11 for the Midtown tunnels. Parking is.
By the way, wild. I don't really get. My brain does not know how to compute like that. Like the toll to use the bridge if you live outside of the city is $11. I just would never go. I just would never go. There's no way. And be like, dang, that's crazy. I wish I could go. I wish I was gonna go to New York City, but I'm not paying $22 for a round trip to New York City. Fuck that.
Is extremely high, and now getting into the city, it's gonna hurt a lot of people to even drive in the city, and people are scared of the subways. You know, with everything been going on, people getting pushed into the train stations, crime, and people are scared of New York City.
That's a lot. Let's unpack. Let's do the first one first.
What's your thoughts?
The congestion pricing happening.
To a lot.
I have.
You hold on to a lot.
All right, that's loud. My bad.
So, but let's break it down for a moment. Let's break it down in pieces so we can really understand it. First, let's deal with the stuff about people are scared of the subways. When I became mayor, no one wanted to be on the subway. We got over 4 million daily riders.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to one of my guys. I was talking to a sister the other day, and she said, "You have about 200-300 crimes happening on the subway system. We have 6 felonies a day on our subway system out of 4 million riders.
Mm-hmm.
Look at those numbers. Mm-hmm. Our subway system is a safe system, and we put in additional 1,000 officers to do the high visibility to deal with the reality, because safety is not only felt, it's perceived. Mm-hmm. So if those 6 felonies, we got to get rid of. We're clear on that. But people are back on our subway system. But when you deal with specifically congestion,
those 6 felonies, that's why I put 1,000 police officers, and don't forget the National Guard in the subways because it's safe. But I wanted to show it was safe, by having like groups of like 5 or 6 cops all staring at their phone because they were posted up there, dangerous.
Prices. A lot of people don't realize these are the city streets, but we had no authority on it. Mm-hmm. Albany passed the law and turned it over to the MTA. This is the MTA's baby. They should have allowed the city to be able to control how congestion pricing was done. So that $15, we were able to fight to get $100 million to deal with the environmental impact in the Bronx.
Ain't that some shit? $150 million worth of overtime.
We were able to fight to get those who are shift workers to get a discount, those who make less than $50,000 to get a discount. But this was a bill that came out of Albany.
So you don't agree with it, or do you agree with it?
No, I agree we got to deal with something with the congestion in our city, but you don't pass on the cost of that on low-income New Yorkers, mm-hmm. or those who have to come to Manhattan. You may have to have go into your chemotherapy, and this is the doctor you have to go to. You should not be hit over the head because of
people that live in the area. They're saying that people that actually live in the area, when they drive, if they got to drive uptown to the doctor or they got to drive, they get charged too.
But I'm not feeling people that live in the area. Mm-hmm. Central Manhattan, south of 60th Street, has the best transportation system on the globe. You got crosstown trains, you have south and north trains, you have buses that go across town. There's no place else on the globe that you have the greatest access to public transportation than people south of 60th Street. So I'm not feeling them. If they're saying that we don't want to pay, you know what, you need to get on the train. I take the train, so you can get on the train. I'm talking about low-income New Yorkers should not have to carry the burden of that. And we ask to have more and a greater input and the shaping of that, but we don't. People don't often realize we're creatures of Albany. Albany passed the laws. We have to implement the laws that are down here.
CDC, DSB. We don't have Israel on the docket today. We talked about a little bit about them with Democracy Now! Tomorrow, I'm planning on doing an update on where we're at. They just bombed a volunteer clinic. Not unlike what happened with Doctors Without Borders, but not only that, they also raided Al-Shifa again. So Israel's doing genocide things, and we'll talk a lot about that tomorrow.
Olayemi,
Yeah, I think you're right that there is a difference between perception and fact and how people feel about safety and the way.
See, this is why she's a boss. She caught that at the very beginning, and then yeah, okay, I see what you want to do. You want to set it up? I'm gonna bring it back, and we're just gonna reset. All right, we're gonna do a reframe, and that's dope.
People feel about the subways, and I think it's your own rhetoric about the subways that has a lot to do with why people feel scared, despite the fact that millions of people ride the subway every day without incident. But you've continued to fearmonger about crime in the subways. You've added 2,000 police officers, despite the fact that you've acknowledged that the subways are not that dangerous. And I think you're right. Poor New Yorkers should not be the ones who bear the brunt of this, but they will if they already have the subway being turned into a place that they have to fear, that there's a National Guard, that there's a hypervisibility of police, that they're trying to stop people with certain records from even using them, and now you have this congestion price. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, let's go before. First of all, I would love to give me the quotes on my rhetoric because I'm lost on that. Can you give me the quotes?
Oh, that you fearmonger about the subways?
Yeah, give me
you've consistently done that since the day one of your administration. One of the first things you did was add 1,000 officers to the subway because you claimed that the subways are unrideable. You and Hochul did this and said how dangerous it is, and you recently did that when you deployed the National Guard.
Sister, but that wasn't my question, Queen. My question was, what was my fear mongering? What did I say?
You continuously say. I could point to a number of videos and quotes and.
So what you're gonna see throughout this whole thing is her making claims, right? So she's gonna make a claim. She's gonna make a very specific claim about what is happening, what has been said, what do the numbers provide, right? And all he's going to do is dodge and try to deflect and then use various political deals. So right now he's trying to he's trying to distract by using semantics, right? If I said if I sit there and I look at somebody, and I go, no, I'm not going to move. What are you going to do about it? And then I puff my chest up and I'm like, what are you going to do about it, bitch? And then somebody else goes, bro, like you were aggressive and you wanted to fight that dude. And I'm like, I wanted to fight him? Who has a video? Can someone show me where I said I wanted to fight him? I never said I wanted to fight him. As if I am so, as if I were stupid. It's not stupidity. It's a tactic, right? To kind of play this semantics game and show me where I said it. Yes, I put 1,000 officers in the subways. Yes, I requested to activate the National Guard in the subways. I upped policing and I'm upping hiring and I'm talking about bringing New York City back under control. But where did I say crime was out of control? Where did I say, come on, show me. Come on.
Everything from you, but you've said repeatedly that the subways are dangerous, that New York is dangerous. You complain about crime relentlessly. So what I'm saying to you is, if you are saying that New York is the safest city, it's one of the safest big cities in this country, which is true, and you're recognizing that the subway stations are in fact not half as dangerous as they're presented to be, I'm saying, how do you reconcile how your rhetoric has played into people's fear?
And not even just rhetoric, I would say the actions, because she's right. If you tell us
which is different, but
it's the same thing though. If you put 1,000 police officers in the subway, 2,000 police officers.
You see what I'm saying? But it's different. Oh shit, I'm still large on the screen, my bad. But it's different, right? Okay.
In the subway, that don't make us feel safe. We think something's wrong if you're doing that.
Let me peel back again, because you gotta always peel back this stuff, because oftentimes how you're depicted in the media that I don't control is how people interpret you. I didn't put the National Guards in the subway. The governor did.
I know, but I know what you said.
But you said, Eric.
You stood with Governor Kathy Hochul and you co-signed that decision. You did. And I'm not saying this as someone who's following social media. I'm saying that as an attorney in the city and an activist who follows everything that you do.
Yeah, I'm glad you do. Because then you realize how I turned the city around if you follow everything I do. You realize
I would say no, but we could get to that next.
Loosen up your time, man, Adam. It's going to be a long day.
Listen, and I enjoy every moment of it.
That's right.
Because this is what I do.
Right.
When you come with a serious history, if you follow everything I do, you know how long I've been doing this, and you know what my record is. So let's peel back what you just stated. When fear is
By the way, it's not your phone, it's not your speakers. And I don't know if it's just me and the way that sound works for my brain. He's gonna be banging on that desk the whole time, and it fucking is like nails on a chalkboard to me. And now that I've said it, you guys are not gonna be able to unhear it. You're welcome.
Perceived and felt. That's what fear is. So no matter, as I shared, that we have 6 felony crimes a day with 4 million riders, if people feel unsafe, when we get in the subway system, I ride the subway system and I talk to commuters and I say, what are you feeling and how do I help you with that fear? They say, Eric, we see more visible uniform officers in our subway system. We're going to feel safer. We got it. We got it. Oh, let me, can I peel
You
it
can
back
talk.
a little?
You can peel it back.
So we got it that the numbers are down. We got it that we're back on the subway system post-COVID. But when we see, this is what the public is saying, when we see the visible presence of a uniform officer, we feel safer. Now, you may say, Eric, I don't want to see a visible presence of a uniform officer, and that's cool, but that's not what the overwhelming number of New Yorkers are saying.
And I'm saying to you, the New York City Comptroller, Brad Lander, recently put out a report finding that 50% of the city is disappointed and does not feel safe based on your rhetoric about the subways and your over-police presence.
Okay, but sister, first of all, that's not what it says based on Eric's rhetoric. That's not, you keep using.
No.
Did they say based on Eric's rhetoric?
Do you want to talk about based on your specific?
No, sister, I'm going back to what you said because you're an attorney.
They
deal
have.
with facts. Did they say based on Eric's rhetoric?
They have. The city is, they have multiple reports. The New York Times, the Gothamist, the city comptroller, and the Federal Monitor who's tasked with making sure that NYPD and Rikers are in compliance with the law have both submitted reports saying that since you became mayor, there's been a return of stop and frisk, that there have been over 15,000 stops, 97% of whom have been on Black and Hispanic people. A fourth of those stops and searches have been unconstitutional, and they've yielded very few results.
You see, so this is what I'm talking about. First of all, can I just say, as an aside, this I was talking to Maneater and my son about this when we were driving back. It's like the ability to recall information like that is extremely impressive. Like I would have already forgot, everybody in that room's name 5 minutes after I walk in. The recall is amazing, but shouldn't be surprising because she is an attorney. So that's what she does, right? It's not like you go up there in a courtroom, and you're like, oh really, is that what you said? Well, and then going through your phone and looking for the link for something. No, you studied that shit, you were ready for court, and you gotta have it. So, but the other thing I wanted to say is, again, like I said, watch how she comes with these very specific facts. If he wants to defeat the facts, then he should be able to do that as a mayor, right? He should be able to go, actually, crime is, was at this percent, is now at this percent. And here's how many arrests were made in this year, and this how many arrests are made in this year. But he can't. He cannot refute any of it. So he has to lean on wordplay. And very, very few times, there aren't a lot of times in this interview. Sometimes he does. He'll start talking about, programs that exist, but it doesn't really refute anything she's saying. But 99% of the time, Eric Adams is pretty much the entire time is pretty much saying, "Nuh-uh." That's really how you can if you want to make this video super short, it's Olay giving a laundry list of everything wrong that Eric Adams is doing, and then him going, "Nah," and then that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Let's peel it back. Eric Adams, 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement, testified in federal court that the federal court judge stated, based on Eric's testimony, we are going to rule against the police department. We were dealing with 1 million stops a year when I was with 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. My advocacy is what turned it around from that 1 million stops a year. Look at the numbers right now.
I am looking at the numbers.
My advocacy and showing how to do policing correctly, because it's not that you want to eradicate proper police practices, you must make sure they do them right. And that is what I have been able to accomplish in this city, taking over 13,000 guns off the streets of the city of New York, who the victims are Black and brown people. When I go to community meetings and talk to
and when he does bring up numbers, they're going to be unrelated to what the claims that she's made are anyway. It seems related, but it's not. how many guns have been taken off the streets is not indicative to any of the problems that she's brought up.
Community residents, they don't tell.
Like if she said something along the lines of how, you know, and still there's all these guns and you guys never take guns on the streets, and then he replies back with that, then okay, that's a refutation. But otherwise, it's just do what he does.
Tell me, Eric, we don't want more police. They said, Eric, we want our police doing their jobs correctly, and that is what I'm doing.
The federal monitor, who is tasked with ensuring that NYPD is following the law, conducted an analysis.
Came under who?
Conducted an analysis that happened 8 years ago, but they're still here monitoring what you're doing. And they said that you have brought back stop and frisk policies that are worse than they saw even during the Bloomberg era. But more importantly, they analyzed the neighborhood safe.
Show me that.
I could show you the report is available, and I know it's been available to you because your spokesperson has commented on it. They did an analysis of over 10 precincts,
you can't keep putting out
10
stuff
different
that's not
precincts.
factual,
That is
sister.
factual. There's a federal.
You see what I'm saying? She's literally quoting a federal monitor. In the next video we'll watch, she'll put it together. I'm like, well, okay, I guess I don't have to do it. We'll just watch your video. But you see what I'm saying? Like, this is what the federal monitor said. This is what the reports came out and said. He says, sister, you cannot just lie. You're lying. She's lying. Everybody, she's lying. You guys see she's lying, right? Yeah, I know you do. You're smart. She's lying.
Monitor reporting to Judge T. Swain on it and presenting
said what?
the information. They said that, yes, listen, let me finish so you can peel it back. They conducted an analysis of 10 different precincts.
If you just stop talking, maybe like shut the fuck up a little bit, then you'll get to, provide, a rebuttal. But until then, shut up.
And of the stops of 10 different precincts, they found that 97% of them, by the way, of the neighborhood safety teams that were disbanded in 2020 because of their disproportionate abuse against Black and Hispanic people that you revived, they analyzed 10 of those different neighborhood safety teams and found that they're conducting 97% of their stops on Black and brown people, and a quarter of them are unconstitutional. That's what the federal monitor said, not me.
Yeah, and at the same time, let's be clear on this, because what you're giving the perception of.
So what he's gonna say next directly addresses Black and brown people being disproportionately stopped in New York City as usual, and 25% of them being unconstitutional, right? The very next words out of his mouth are going to address the unconstitutionality of the stops and who is being targeted by these cops, right?
This is a federal monitor that came in long before I was mayor. Can
yes,
we agree on that?
Yes, they monitor NYPD, not you specifically. You're
right,
the mayor.
Right. Number two, I have been the mayor for 2 years and 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a tradition of over-policing for generations.
And they said it's worse now that you're here.
That I fought for. We had issues of over-policing for generations that I fought for.
Mm-hmm.
We acknowledge what my history is in this place. So
he said I think he means fought against. We'll give that to him, but he did it twice. You fought for over policing. I mean, his record shows that he does fight for over policing, but I think he's trying to say that he fought against it.
2 years and 3 months, we are turning around not only over policing, but we're turning around the crime. Because when I came to this city, we had a 40% increase in crime. And most of that crime, Black and brown communities.
You became mayor after a global pandemic in which there was record unemployment, business loss, homelessness, and you're not drawing that connection to it. You're making no. But what I'm saying is crime is connected to what is happening in the city and the experiences of people. This is the most expensive city in the world. We had a global pandemic where businesses closed and people were out of work. So if you saw crime, it was connected to that.
But you're saying also private sector jobs. Come on.
Also, you're saying that you've turned it around, NYPD's abuses. But just last year, we paid out $150 million in settling police misconduct from NYPD, and that was double the number. That's double the number in police misconduct since you became mayor.
I noticed something. I noticed how much commitment you have.
It's one of your constituents.
Yeah, and I'm one of my constituents too now. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up in this city. I noticed, and this is what I hear often of those who articulate when a person in a blue uniform commits an inappropriate act. Balance that with what we're doing to take the violence out of our communities. Because I know what I hear when I go to these community meetings. I know what I hear when I go speak to these mothers who
completely deflected completely. Now we're not gonna watch the whole thing again, but I just want to
notice how
number 150 saying that you've turned it around. NYPD's abuses.
So she sets off by saying your crime rate decrease under you that you're trying to take credit for is not because of you. Whatever numbers we're seeing in the decrease in crime, it's because crime was already high due to layoffs and what we know about isolation and poverty and people struggling financially, unsure of the future. Like the closed businesses, we saw a rise in crime, right? People exploiting as people who exploit do, right? And then as we come out of that and things start opening back up, we see crime decrease. So then she says $150 million was paid out last year, double than what you said. I know, that is a perfect pause. That needs to be a here, let me screenshot real quick. That's a thumbnail right there. But yeah, so are you gonna address that? Are you gonna address that? I did dismiss, right? This is so Olay dismisses the reduction in crime. Are you gonna address the $150 million that was double since you became? Nope, sure should not.
Just last year, we paid out $150 million in settling police misconduct from
And we
NYPD,
should,
and that was
if we just
double
move
the
on.
number. That's double the number in police misconduct since you became mayor.
I noticed something. I noticed how much passion and you know what I'm saying, to balance that with what we're doing to take the violence out of our communities. Because I know what I hear when I go to these community meetings. I know what I hear when I go speak to these mothers who lost their children to violence. I know what I hear. You are not even talking about that at all.
You know, first of all,
I don't think New Yorkers feel safer.
I was a public defender.
New Yorkers don't feel safe.
But that's what you said. That's what you said.
And my original question was about how you relate to that.
You said that New Yorkers don't feel safer.
Yeah.
So
there was a poll that came out last week.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And in that poll that came out by the CBC, it stated that the priorities of Mayor Adams is moving the city in the right direction. My priority. Now remember, 2 years, 3 months, brother. 2 years, 3 months. I inherited a pandemic. I inherited 180,000 migrants and asylum seekers that can't work, that we have to house them every day. I inherited.
You called for a lot of them too, though.
No, we didn't, brother.
You said it was a sanctuary city. You told them.
Okay, let's see. That's why it's important. That's why it's important to have this conversation, because sanctuary city and the migrants and asylum seekers are two different issues. Sanctuary city, if you're undocumented.
Okay, so he's gonna do wordplay again, all that bullshit. He doesn't address the $150 million. Let's get to Olay cooking.
Our young people economy on our streets here. Wow, we dealt with that crisis, turn around our economy, outpacing the state in reading and math of our young people. I've been on Rikers Island more than any mayor in the.
And right here, you pause it, and then you zoom in on Olay, and then you do like a voiceover, and it's like some anime style, like, he did it. He fell into my trap. He brought up Rikers Island. Now I have him.
History of the city, talking with inmates and correction officers to turn around what's happening on Rikers Island.
I know you go to Rikers in 2022 and there were 3 deaths back to back because corrections officers left their posts and allowed it to happen. You went to Rikers to express your support for the corrections officer. I know you.
Yeah. If I was Eric Adams right there, I would have walked out. No, you're right, CG. He does say it. He activated her trap card. CG, he does talk about the difference between sanctuary cities and the refugee camps. It just didn't relate to anything she was talking about. Nothing that he's being challenged on. He wanted to use as an opportunity to go on this talk about, like, see, you don't even know what a sanctuary city is. Like, cool, that's not what we're talking about.
You go to Rikers.
No,
what I do want you to do, Mayor Adams.
But you keep giving out misinformation.
It's not misinformation, Mayor Adams. I'm quoting the Monitor.
I was on Rikers Island this week. With a group of 12.
So now right here is where we're gonna appeal to emotion. We're gonna appeal to like, oh man, see, I didn't know that. Don't care. It doesn't address the people dying. What he's about to say has dick to do with the people dying in Rikers Prison, a pre-trial detention facility. Rikers is not prison. Rikers is a pre-trial. These are people who have not been found guilty of a crime. Just saying.
Young brothers who recommitted themselves to Christ. I went to see them in the morning. We prayed together because they said, this is not the first time you've been here. You've been here over and over, visiting us, talking to us, nurturing us, because I know what it's like to be locked up, because I was locked up as a child.
I know you
so
were.
I know what it's like to be treated unfairly because I'm dyslexic. When you do an analysis of the number of young brothers and sisters who are in Rikers or in jail, they're dealing with learning disabilities because they were never given the support that they have. That's why I have dyslexia screening, so we can catch people who are thrown overboard before they get thrown overboard. So we have a philosophical disagreement.
I'm glad that you brought up Rikers.
Your feelings towards police is different from mine.
These are not this is not about my feelings to police. This is about the actual statistics that I presented from the Federal Monitor monitoring what you do.
What do you say about her statistics, though? I mean, these are statistics.
These are Federal Monitor. Are you disputing with the Federal Monitor and the comptroller?
Think about this for a moment. Controller Brad Lander. Okay, please. If we're going to throw people in names on who we are independent sources, he should not be one of them. Think about this Federal Monitor.
The one that was independently elected by the people of New York, placed there?
But I was independently elected also.
And we've been there, and I'm addressing you.
So think about this for a moment. The Federal Monitor wants to take over.
That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. He's already trying to poison the well to be like, oh, that guy, oh, you're going to trust that guy? It's a federal report with more than one signature on it. Take care, CG. Have a good one. With more than one signature on it. It's not just one, it's a report based off findings. You argue the findings. That's what you got to argue because it's made by somebody who doesn't like you. Come on.
Rikers, okay? Rikers has been dysfunctional for generations. Mm-hmm. I came in, decreased violence, put in real incentive programs for young people there, but I didn't do it from a distance. I went to Rikers and walked the halls and talked with inmates. We're doing workshops and support groups with inmates and find out, what do you need to be here? We instituted real turnaround programs there with the sisters that's now the correction officer. That's the Commission of Corrections there. So I didn't do like other mayors. I didn't sit back and say, let me just turn my back on what's Rikers. I said to those Rikers inmates when I got elected, I'm coming here, I'm going to see what you're going through. I want to make sure you leave here better than how you got here in the first place. And we started instituting programs to do so. So that same Federal Monitor, go look at the federal prisons. That Federal Monitor wanted to take over our prisons after I had it only 2 years and 3 months. No, they wanted to take over my first year. Although crime was going, violence was going down, and people say, "Well, Eric, people are dying on Rikers. Look at how they died. People are coming into Rikers in terrible medical conditions
and not getting their medical appointments.
It's not that they were dying because correction officers.
Look. Sometimes you leave a guy in his cell, and sometimes that guy screams out for help and talks about what kind of pain he's in, and you ignore him. You ignore him, and he's like, bleeding in the toilet, and he collapses on the ground, and he can't be resuscitated, and he's pronounced dead, an hour later. They came in unhealthy. What do we have to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, piece of shit.
We're killing them. People were coming in with heart problems. But they were overdosing on drugs.
When will people in Rikers start to feel that? Because I know I got people that are in Rikers right now serving time, and they hate it. They think it's disgusting. They're trying to raise awareness to it.
Who likes shells, brother? Who likes shells?
Respectfully, Mayor Adams, fundamentally, the things
Who likes jail? Who cares? Who cares? You should be mistreated. You should be allowed to just fucking fall on the floor and die. Listen, these are people who are innocent until proven guilty pre-trial. So, according to the American Constitution, these are people who fall under the category of suspected but innocent. Who likes jail? Who cares? People are dying. Like, people get murdered. People get stabbed. Like, what are you gonna? Hey, what are you gonna do?
That you were saying is untrue. You actually cut $17 million that were used for classes for people at Rikers to re-enter society. Those were cut under your.
Check out the programs.
Those were cut under your. Those were cut under your administration.
We were spending millions of dollars.
31 people have died at Rikers since Eric Adams became mayor.
Millions of dollars for these professional folks who do these programs, re-entry programs, millions of dollars, 7 people sitting inside the class. When I came into office, I said, wait a minute, why are we spending so much money on programs, but our people are still in these bad conditions? People have profitized poverty. They're making so much money off of black and brown people because it's a lucrative business to come up with all these different programs.
You notice how he's ignoring that they're making money off of black and brown people, right? Because he's talking about the programs in Rikers. Well, first of all, why is Rikers full of only black and brown people? You want to go into your policing policies? You want to go into where they're over policing? Nah, we won't do that.
All these different ways, and then when you go to them and say, let me see the results of the programs that we're paying you millions of dollars for. And then you look and see, well, who's in charge of these programs? They don't look like us.
Moments ago, you said you instituted programs. And when I brought up the fact that you actually cut programs, now you're anti-program. Okay, 31, at least 31 people have died at Rikers since you became mayor. That's why they're pushing for a receivership.
Fatherless No More program. Fatherless No More. This was the brother, the pastor. Fatherless No More is called the program. And I would encourage you to come and check it out. This brother here, instead of saying, pay me millions of dollars to do a program to turn around the lives of our young brothers in Rikers, he doesn't want money. He's committed to the cause. But you have these professional programs that were
listen to this shit
in place. And when I went to them and said, show me the results of what you've done in these programs. Show me what we produce for our millions of dollars. As in many of these programs in the city that I'm saying, we're no longer paying y'all to just play us year after year. So Fatherless No More is turning around the lives of people, not being paid millions of dollars for it. If we're really true to what we say we want to do, why do we have to pay you millions of dollars to do it?
Notice that the guy who's doing the Fatherless No More say he doesn't want money. It must be a church project or something like that, right? And the other ones take money. If you really are committed to the cause, why should we have to pay you? What? Well, if you're so committed to the cause, be mayor for free. Things cost money. So when you're sitting there and you're taking money and you're putting money into $150 million so cops can look at their phones, but you're complaining about programs that are in the prisons. If they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, if you're not seeing any change in that, then you address how those programs are being run. But it doesn't see, he wants to use it as an excuse to go, look, if we're going to have programs in this prison, it needs to be for free. What? Doesn't make any sense.
Why don't you come on Rikers like I do? They've been people have eaten off of the of being.
A lot of people are upset too. They feel like the prison reform is bad for New York City. They're saying people do crimes, they get out immediately, and then they commit the crimes. We just seen an officer that passed away a couple of days ago. Rest in peace to him. And always
pre-trial. Isn't that fucking crazy? You know, in where people are supposed to be innocent to proven guilty, and then these people are talked about like they are, you know, just violent criminals. That's all they are. What happened to innocent? You know, that's what I'm saying about these kinds of people. These conservatives, they only give a fuck about the Constitution insofar as it protects their own ass. They only care about the Constitution if it means they want 72 fucking you know, weapons, or they want the right to be able to scream the N-word, or whatever the fuck it is, you know what I mean? But when it comes to right to a lawyer, you must be guilty. When it comes to innocent to proven guilty, don't give a shit. we have a poverty jail right here. Because you know who does not sit in fucking Rikers? People with the money to post bail. And that's what bail reform is. You got conservatives out here talking about how bail reform, oh, you don't have to do bail. First of all, violent criminals, the judge can definitely set bail on that. But if this is a non-violent crime, why are you doing that? Then it becomes a whole, or it becomes a poverty prison. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a debtor's prison where you're like, hey, how about this? You pay me $10,000, you don't have to sit in jail. And then when you have the money and go, oh, bet, here's 10 G's. And then somebody else is like, I don't have 10 G's. Go to Rikers. Go sit in Rikers. You know what I mean?
Feeling energy to his family, but they say that individual was arrested for a gun and has a record the size of we don't know what, and they're saying that people are doing crimes and they're getting back out. Officers don't want to arrest people. A lot of officers don't even want to be officers anymore because the people that they're arresting get out so fast. So what do you say to that?
And brother, let me.
Oh shit. Doing that thing.
And brother, let me tell you something. I say this term all the time. Idealism collides with realism.
Mm-hmm.
This far leftist mindset that believes we should not have a criminal justice system in place, we're going to look like some of these other cities that you're seeing with a lack of a criminal justice.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why I said $10,000, right? So you got bail bondsmen. There are people who are so poor that doesn't help them. Because when you're setting $100,000 bails, you still got to come up with $1,000, $10,000, right? Like even though you only have to put up 10%, there are people so poor that 10% is something they can't do. You know what I mean? And not only do you have to bring up the 10%, you got to bring up 10% and collateral. Because I've bailed people out of jail before. I bailed my buddy out, and I had to bring the title to my vehicle because I paid the money. And of course he paid me back, but I had to put up the money and I had to put up my vehicle. And if that guy had ran, they would have took my vehicle to cover the rest of his bond. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, even with bail bondsmen, it takes a certain class of people and says, oh yeah, I know, you probably can't pay $50, let alone $1,000. But sorry for you,
The system in place. We're losing correction officers. We're losing district attorneys. We're losing police officers. We're losing probation officers. We're losing school safety agents. Every piece of our public safety apparatus that the everyday working class person wants, we're seeing it all of a sudden erode, and we're going to lose the foundation of our prosperity, and that's public safety. So when you look at these cases, we have 3 problems in this city that if you dig into it, you'll see how they continue to intersection between each other.
What are they?
We have a recidivist problem.
This is not true.
It's a revolving door. 38 people that assaulted transit workers were arrested 1,100 times. 545 people that were arrested for shoplifting were arrested 7,500 times. The person who shot that police officer, his driver, was just arrested for having a gun in April of last year. Now he's back doing the same thing all over again. These guys are arrested 10, 15 times. It's a small population of people that are repeated offenders. The second problem that
you like that little twist there? I don't know if y'all caught it. Here's a very interesting little twist. He's talking about recidivism rates, right? So which is, you commit a crime, you go to jail, you get caught, and then you get out and you do the same crime, right? Or you go back into crime. He said, you know that story about the guy who shot and killed that cop? 6 months ago, his driver was arrested and he's out doing the same thing. You see that little kind of like that bait and switch that they did? He didn't say that guy who shot the cop was just out on was had committed the same felony 6 months ago. He said his driver, the guy who didn't shoot the cop, but he's very quick, very quick. Why don't they ever explore why these people are repeat offenders? Yeah, can you imagine shoplifting, and then shoplifting for whatever reason, and then whatever happened in jail, did that reason get solved? Did that reason, no? And you're gonna go back,
that we have in the city is a severe mental health problem. I'm not talking about just somebody that's depressed, someone that's going through a bad day. I'm talking about a severe mental health problem. Go look at these cases of assaulting passengers, pushing people on the subway track. The cat that pushed the person on the subway track the other day, in and out of the system. And so when I came into office, I said, we can't keep just walking by these people that are dealing with severe mental health issues. We need to give them wraparound services and care. The far left pushed against me.
Oh my
You
gosh.
inhumane. You just want to take people off the streets. I said no. In this city, people are not going to live. People are not going to live in encampments. They're going to live in tents. Go look at Los Angeles. Go look at Oregon. Go look at all these other cities where you see tent cities, San Francisco. You see tent cities. People, when I went out in January and February when I got elected in 2022, I went out without my security team and started visiting people in tents and encampments and started talking to them. Bipolar, schizophrenic, human waste, drug paraphernalia, stale food. They didn't even realize they were in that state. One cat was an ex-police officer that I spoke with, didn't even realize, started seeing and talking to himself. I said, I'm not going to do this. My city's not going to be like San Francisco. It's not going to be like these other cities where you're watching people living on streets in tents and tents. You don't see that in New York City. Third problem we have is random acts of violence. Those random acts of violence are being.
See, here's the thing, though, is that he's kind of talking out his ass on that one. He is, so everybody knows that he is that what we have to have is a stronger mental health care team, right? As far as where does our money go, right? $150 million to overtime. A New York City, somebody look up New York NYPD budget over $1 billion. Look, it's wild where this money goes, right? So when we start talking about defund the police, we're not talking about we're not even defund the police isn't even about abolishment. It's about redistributing where this money goes. He's not talking about, and now we open up all these clinics and we're putting tons of money and we're all these incentives to bring therapists to New York City. Nope. You know what he's talking about? He's talking about picking up these people and forcing them into mental health facilities that are underfunded, understaffed, and they are using this as a tactic to clean up the streets. He says, my city's not going to be like San Francisco and LA. What is he talking about? Is he talking about cities with poor mental health care infrastructure? Or is he talking about people who are houseless on the street? These people are getting rolled up and forced into care to facilities who are underfunded. This is not the kudos, the good thing he thinks it is.
And highlight it. If you have 24 hours
exactly,
in a day, and something that happens to you in an hour in a day, you start to define yourself as that entire day. Those random acts of violence are plastered on social media. They're plastered on
the NYPD
newspapers.
Twitter page.
They're plastered on everything. People begin to believe that, I'm living in a city that's out of control. We are not.
She made a good point, though. If NYPD is reposting that kind of stuff, what are we supposed to think?
No.
I said at the beginning.
Everybody got a phone, brother.
No. NYPD's page is.
See what I'm saying? Nah, that's all he said. Everybody got a phone. You can see that for yourself. Yes, we can. That's why we're saying it.
Doing this has recently been there, so much so that they're arguing with journalists on there. It's NYPD on their own Twitter pages that are posting and sensationalizing crime. And I said this at the beginning. You said that there's a difference between perception and reality, how people feel afraid versus how safe New York actually is. And I agree with you, but I said that it's your own rhetoric and NYPD's rhetoric that plays into that. And you did it just now, because the reality is a condition of release for everybody, for every crime, whether it be non-bail eligible or bail eligible, is that if you commit a crime and you're rearrested, that you bail can and will be set on you. So that's the first thing. Second of all, they have conducted multiple studies, but the Brennan Center literally just put out
2023 budget for NYPD is $5.83 billion. Billion. 5.4% larger than the agency's fiscal 2023 adopted budget. 2020 $5.8 billion.
one. Less than 2% of anybody in New York City that's released on bail is rearrested for any violent crime. More importantly, in the same breath that you want to sensationalize, we want to highlight and point out, an officer was killed the other day, which is a rare occurrence across the United States, but let alone in New York. New York police officers have killed at least 7 people this year, including a 19-year-old. An NYPD officer killed a 19-year-old in Queens yesterday.
I'm not going to dismiss the loss of a life of an innocent person that wears a uniform to protect us.
But you do, of the 31 people dead at Rikers and the 19-year-old killed yesterday.
I feel like I don't want to take you out of context, and I don't want people to all of a sudden criticize.
Okay, we don't have to take her out of context, but here's the deal, is that this is that fake outrage that conservatives, this is why after this interview, all the Trumpers, all the MAGA, all the conservative pundits came out in full support of him and his policies and the way that he's cracking down on Black and brown communities, right? They love this shit, right? Because he's doing just like he did earlier with in this program, I went to Rikers to look at people recommitting themselves to Christ. Okay, what the fuck's that got to do with what we're talking about? You know what I mean? He's talking about the people dying in there. Now here we are right here talking about like trying to like do this fake outrage thing, talking about how, oh, you're trying to dismiss it, and then please believe they ran with it. You know, I saw the video headlines, I saw the news headlines, and they ran with it, trying to say that she doesn't care about this and that. Her point is that you want to talk about like how officers are dying left and right. An officer was killed for sure. Where were you when 31 Rikers inmates? Yeah. By the way, real quick, I keep, emphasizing innocent until proven guilty, right? The fact that it's a pre-detention. Make no mistake that even if you are convicted and you are in prison, you are a human being who deserves to be treated with dignity. You know what I mean? Like you still are a citizen who shouldn't be tortured or treated inhumanely. I just want to put that out there. But they can't even do that for people who haven't been convicted. He doesn't give a fuck about the 31 people who have died because, hey, what are you going to do? They come in with health problems. Yeah.
That you're being dismissive of a young
Adams,
man being shot
Mayor
and
Adams,
killed.
that's not going to work on
Listen,
me.
I'm not trying to work anything on you. I lost a member of the police department the same way I go to see the mother of an 11-month-old baby that was shot in the head when I first became mayor, and I sat in the hospital with her. The same way I go visit these mothers who lose their children to gun violence, I go see them.
Yes, but not the mothers of the people who are dying in Rikers.
Just as I go to see the family member of a slain police officer, I go visit those parents that lose their loved ones to violence.
Are you visiting the family of the...
Do you do that?
First of all, yes, I did. I held a Riker. I represented hundreds...
You went to visit the family member of a slain officer?
No, not the slain officer.
Okay, of course you did.
No, but what about the 19-year-old that was killed yesterday by NYPD in Queens when he called for help? Have you said anything about that? Are you visiting them?
Yeah, First of all, is
New York safer or not, Mayor?
I'm sorry?
Is New York safer or not?
He saved them. Charlemagne the God saved them. Oh, yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, let me ask you a question over here.
Okay. We just showed the graph that we put up, right? There's a graph that shows how many people murders based on 100,000 people. It shows a graph, each city, the large cities in America.
All right, so check this out. We're at 27 minutes. I really think that most of y'all should go and watch this. The next video that we're gonna watch is her providing receipts, and she's going to provide excerpts from this interview and then talk to it, right? And so that video is about 20 minutes. We'll react to that. I really, really think that not for nothing, it's valuable to watch. Is Charlemagne conservative? Honestly, I don't know what any of these people are. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a lot of people, they're whatever they are that's beneficial to whatever movement they want to be a part of. Some people are indistinguishable from MAGA when talking about trans people. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I use Dave Chappelle as an example all the time, where it's like, listen to Dave Chappelle talk about police killing black men, and he's an orator. He's an awesome speaker. He's moving, right? And then have him talk about trans people, and then it comes Duty Water. So Charlamagne the God, like, sometimes makes some good points, but he's not any kind of like intellectual giant or anything like that. You know what I mean? I have a feeling most of them on there are like center to center right, center left, just your typical lib or your typical centrist that really can't see past their nose for a lot of things. I do want to get to Black Christians versus Black Atheists tonight. So that link I put on there is that interview. I would suggest watching the rest of it if you want more context to this video. This video we're about to watch is Olay. It's only 20 minutes, but it's providing clips from that and then providing the receipts for it, which I think is valuable, because you know, you kind of don't want to just sit there and go, yeah, well, they said it, so it must be true. You know what I mean?
Hey everybody, if you're watching this video, it means you've probably already seen my interview with New York City Mayor Eric Adams on The Breakfast Club, but I wanted to make this video so that I could present you with the receipts for all of the facts that I tried to present him with in that interview. So this is an unscheduled video interrupting my scheduled programming, but I promise you, to the returning members of the Illuminati, you will still be getting Olay and Friends on Sunday. You should subscribe to Lolo and Olay, where Lolo and I will be dropping new videos of our podcast every Saturday. And you should join the channel. We have our own special emotes, exclusive videos, early access to videos, live premieres, all that. It's going to be a good time. I didn't want to risk having NYPD out here calling the facts misinformation. Now, could we? So here you go. But
Like
if you're
they
new
did.
to the
I don't. So I know a lot of y'all aren't on Twitter. I'm trying to find it now. I don't know if they went through and deleted it or if they shut out their account. But chief of police or chief of patrol, I don't know what these positions are. But the chief of patrol in NYPD was literally having Twitter beef with Olay. Like the most embarrassing, unprofessional shit I've ever seen from a government institution. It's wild.
Illuminati, and you didn't know me before that Breakfast Club interview. Hi, my name is Olayemi Olurin.
Olayemi, all right? It's Olayemi. And she's going to introduce herself. And then this is the video I was talking about before with regard to that video she put out that I put the link to earlier. Then she's talking about how she never thought she would be on the Breakfast Club sitting in the same room with Eric Adams because of how much hate she's put on there. But, you know, they knew what they were doing.
How the mayor himself fearmongers about crime, especially crime in the subways. And he told me to provide him with a quote of how he fearmongers about crime. But lucky for me, let me just show you how he did exactly that in this exact interview. National Guard, that there's a hyper visibility of police, that they're trying to stop people with certain records from even using them, and now you have this congestion price. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, let's go before. First of all, I would love to give me the quotes on my rhetoric, because I'm lost on that. Can you give me the quotes?
Oh, that you fearmonger about the subways?
Yeah, give me
you've consistently done that since the day one of your administration. One of the first things you did was add 1,000 officers to the subway because you claimed that the subways are unrideable. You and Hochul did this and said how dangerous it is, and you recently did that when you deployed the National Guard.
Sister, but that wasn't my question, Queen. My question was, what was my fear mongering? What did I say? People on the far left disagree with me. You know, many people on the far left, they said, Eric, people should be allowed to sleep on the streets. No matter what, they should be allowed to sit on your stoop and inject themselves with drugs. They should be allowed to go in stores and steal whatever they want. They shouldn't have to pay on the subway system. They should be allowed to carry a gun and be able to come out the next day. Like, people disagree with me all the time.
Earlier, you asked me to point out the rhetoric. Earlier, you asked me to point out specifically what you say to fearmonger about crime. So I just would like to say, Exhibit A, like what you literally just did. You continue to say in this that New York is the safest big city, while simultaneously you are the one sensationalizing the crime.
I point out
Which
All
is
I
a
know
fact. Is it safer? Is it
Two, Eric Adams said that New Yorkers feel safer when they see a high visible presence of police officers around.
They said, Eric, we see more visible uniform officers in our subway system. We're gonna feel safer. We got it. We got it. Oh, let me. Can I peel
You
it
can
back?
talk. You can peel it back.
So we got it that the numbers are down. We got it that we're back on the subway system post-COVID. But when we see, this is what the public is saying, when we see the visible presence of a uniform officer, we feel safer.
Fact check. A Siena study found that only 33% of New Yorkers feel safer when they see police. And only 13% of Black New Yorkers found that they feel safer when they see police. And 61% of Black New Yorkers would support some reduction of police funds. 3.
So here's the thing: is I was talking about this the other day with Blurred. Is like, you got people like the NAACP out there talking about wanting more cops in places like Oakland. This is one direction that I will kind of very indirectly defend what what Mayor Adams is saying. And it's not to say that he's right? Because what they do is they cherry pick. They ask the questions to very specific types of people, right? But please make no mistake that there are organizations out there full of boot-looking people, black, brown, pink, whatever, it doesn't matter, that absolutely think that more cops equals safer area, right? But $5.8 billion. $5.8 billion, right? If that's the case, then New York City should be the most crimeless place on earth. Rikers should be empty. The prisons should be empty. And the only people in the prisons are from out of state, definitely out of the city at least, because of how much money is put into there. They talk about defunding the police. They talk about not supporting the police. There has not been a single year since 2019, the summer of BLM, where the NYPD saw a reduction in their budget. Not one.
I said that since Eric Adams became mayor, we've seen the return of stop and frisk, and that Eric Adams revived neighborhood safety teams that have been disbanded after 2020 for their disproportionate abuse of Black and brown people.
The federal monitor, who is tasked with ensuring that NYPD is following the law, conducted an analysis.
Came under who?
Conducted an analysis that happened 8 years ago, but they're still here monitoring what you're doing, and they said that you have brought back stop and frisk policies that are worse than they saw even during the Bloomberg era. But more importantly, they analyzed the neighborhood safety.
Show me that.
I could show you the report is available, and I know it's been available to you because your spokesperson has commented on it. They did an analysis of over 10 precincts, 10 different precincts. That is factual. There's a federal monitor reporting to Judge T. Swain on it and presenting the information. They said that, yes, listen, let me finish so you can peel it back. They conducted an analysis of 10 different precincts, and of the stops of 10 different precincts, they found that 97% of them, by the way, of the neighborhood safety teams that were disbanded in 2020 because of their disproportionate abuse against Black and Hispanic people that you revived, they analyzed 10 of those different neighborhood safety teams and found that they're conducting 97% of their stops on Black and brown people, and a quarter of them are unconstitutional. That's what the federal monitor said, not me.
Yeah. So community policing is part of the solution. Right. I mean, that is something that even abolitionists say that's where you end up moving to. Right. But when you do community policing, there has to be some sort of regulatory body to be able to go, who is out there? Right. Who is out there? Who's that dude's name? Is it Zimmerman, George Zimmerman? Right. Who was on the neighborhood patrol? Like, if these people are self-hating or spicy white racist Italians or whoever the fuck, right? What does that change? What does that change? You want to see community policing? Go check the settlers in the West Bank. That's the kind of motherfuckers that show up to go, I wanna patrol my area. These people aren't These people aren't looking for safe neighborhoods. They think that Black and brown people are the problem. That's who the kind of people when it's run by the NYPD. When it's run by the NYPD, that's the kind of people that volunteer.
And that's
fact check, straight from the New York Times, quoting the Federal Monitor's report. The New York Police Department's anti-crime units are still stopping, frisking, and searching too many people unlawfully, almost all of them people of color, despite assurances from Mayor Eric Adams that new policies and training would end the practice, according to a new report by a court-appointed monitor. The monitor, Mylan Dennerstein, filed a report in federal court in Manhattan on Monday, detailing what she described as unlawful policing. Ms. Dennerstein, whose position was created in 2013 after a court ruled the police department's use of stop and frisk was unconstitutional, is assigned to oversee the units, which have a history of targeting Black and Hispanic people. Earlier versions of the units were responsible for a disproportionate number of police shootings, and they were disbanded in 2020. Mr. Adams reinstated and renamed them after he took office last year, but critics were skeptical that they could be run without racially profiling young men of color as previous units had. Almost all of the stops made by the rebranded neighborhood safety teams analyzed in the report, 97% were Black or Hispanic people, and 24% of the stops were unconstitutional. Of 230 car stops included in the sample, only 2 appeared to have turned up weapons, the report said. Study found especially troubling numbers in a handful of precincts, including the 41st precinct in the Bronx, where only 41% of the stops, 32% of frisks, and 26% of searches were constitutional, according to the report. 4. Eric Adams was boasting about the programs that he'd established at Rikers, and I said that that was not true, that Eric Adams had actually cut the $17 million for the budget used for the programs, the re-entry programs at Rikers.
Rikers has been dysfunctional for generations. I came in, decrease violence, make sure you leave.
We heard him say all this.
Those were cut under your administration.
Fact check. Not only did Eric Adams cut the $17 million for re-entry service programs at Rikers, it accounted for less than 1% of the entire Department of Corrections' $1.2 billion budget, and around 0.001% of the city's budget. But he chose to cut these vital and pretty cheap programs for no other reason than fuck the people at Rikers. 5. Once I confirmed that.
What do we say? 5.8 billion for NYPD, 1.2 billion for the correctional, the Department of Corrections. So we're talking about $7 billion to law enforcement and corrections. I mean, shit. That shit, like I said, we should be without crime 100% by now. If money and manning is all you needed, we should have no crime.
Eric Adams had actually cut the budget for the programs he had just been boasting about. He started throwing the programs under the bus altogether and complaining that they weren't legitimate and that the people providing the programs for the people incarcerated at Rikers are not genuine and don't care about the people, or otherwise they would be doing it for free.
Respectfully, Mayor Adams, fundamentally the things that you were saying is untrue. You actually cut $17 million that were used for classes for people at Rikers to re-enter society. Those were cut under your
check out the programs.
Those were cut under your administration.
We were spending millions of dollars.
31 people have died at Rikers since Eric Adams became mayor.
Millions of dollars.
He wants to pretend like he can't hear her. Like he's like, you know what, I'm done talking to her. But he'll say we'll spend 3 times. What's going on? The Susan Turpin, how you doing? Welcome back.
For these professional folks who do these programs, reentry programs, millions of dollars, 7 people sitting inside the class. People have profitized poverty. They're making so much money off of Black and brown people. If we're really true to what we say we want to do, why do we have to pay you millions of dollars to do it? You know, why don't you come on Rikers like I do
and do it for free?
This isn't so much a fact check, so much as I just wanted to highlight this insanity in case it had gotten by you. The mayor is making the argument that if people really care about Black and brown people or people that are incarcerated, they will work for free, that they don't need wages now. Mind you, this is while Rikers itself gets $860 million yearly to lock up poor Black and brown people pre-trial. So let's rewind a little bit. He
pre-trial
cut the $17 million, just a tiny percentage of the money that he had. And he did that while he was crying broke about the migrant crisis.
It's not that I have a problem with it. It's that, again, the sensationalism has a lot to do with the fact that you got up and declared that we have this migrant crisis. And I thought it was interesting, your earlier point about the difference between how Ukrainian migrants are being received versus migrants, Black and Latino migrants, because, again, you gave a town hall where you were the one who gave this speech and you incentivized New Yorkers to feel this way.
Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City.
You called specific countries. I remember you calling the countries that the migrants were from. They weren't the Ukrainian migrants.
So these are the I hate to borrow a term from the Republicans. You know how they call it like rhinos and shit like that, right? Like we're not. They call Republicans rhinos for not being in lockstep with their God King Donald Trump, right? You know, these people will say they're progressive all day. They'll say they're for whatever. But whatever the word is, you know, for progressive in name only or Democrat in name only, whatever the fuck, right? But I mean, really, this is just on par for most Democrats anyway. But talking about how why are we surprised that a Democrat elected mayor is sitting there talking about how the migrant situation in New York City is going to destroy New York City, and he does not see an end to it? What? Like, that's Trump shit right there. That is absolutely MAGA shit, right? And so again, when we're talking about the vote, you know, voting, and you're sitting there talking about Mayor Adams, you know, like as an example, you know, what if you're a Black or brown voter in New York City? Who are you? What are you voting for? Like, what is happening if your choice is between a MAGA Republican mayor and another mayor who is a person of color? He's Black. He's a Democrat, but he supports over policing Black and brown communities. Supports cutting funding for programs in a pre-trial facility, a detention facility. Like where are we at? And then comes out on there and says that the migrant crisis is going to destroy New York City, all while saying that New York City is completely safe. Which by far it is, because the crime is sensationalized by the conservative media. But like, this guy can talk out of both sides of his mouth and then some. I would hate to be a voter in New York City. That's for damn sure.
You weren't talking about them.
So what happens when we don't have?
Hold on, sister. I did not call the countries what they were from. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa.
A few moments later.
Ecuador, Colombia, Mexico.
But also signing a historic deal with the Police Benevolent Association. It was the third deal. It was only the third voluntary contract with the Police Benevolent Association in 30 years in New York, where Eric Adams voluntarily agreed to increase the wages for lots of officers and to allow extra overtime for many officers.
We're here to announce a new deal with the Police Benevolent Association that would do just that. This is a historic deal. Only the third voluntary contract with the PBA in 30 years. One that will make sure our officers get the benefits and compensation they deserve. Allow them to work a more flexible schedule.
And mind you, NYPD blew past their $100 million budget in overtime last year. When I brought up the deaths at Rikers, Eric Adams turned to Charlemagne to say that we need to look at how people are dying. That people are not dying because of what happens to them at Rikers, but that they're coming to Rikers ill.
And people say, well, Eric, you know, people are dying on Rikers. Look at how they died. People are coming into Rikers in terrible medical conditions.
And not getting their medical appointments.
All I want to do is just be in the same room as him and be like, hey, can you just do me a favor? Like, I just need you to stop hitting the table. That's it. I don't even give a fuck. You could lie all day. Lie all you want. Just stop hitting the fucking table. That's just it's like boom, 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 boom in my head. I thought there was like fucking someone knocking on the door when the headphones on. Look at the old cop who was false. Hold on, I missed it.
It's not that to right people that
What happened to dollar
benefits and compensation they deserve. Allow them to work more flexible.
Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you something. I want you to look at this face right here. Shit, look at this face right here. These are the types of motherfuckers signing up for neighborhood patrol. Who do you think this dude right here is following at night in his neighborhood? Yeah, but if you're black or brown and you got a son walking home, you better hope this guy's not on your neighborhood patrol. That's for sure.
Flexible schedule.
we are coming to Rikers ill.
And people say, well, Eric,
Yeah, we heard you.
But under
overdosing on drugs.
Fact check. Not only are people dying for a host of different reasons at Rikers, but the deaths due to medical reasons are still at the fault of the Department of Corrections because there were over 94,000 missed medical appointments because corrections officers simply failed to take people to their medical appointments. And those aren't even all the missed medical appointments, just the ones that can be directly attributed to the fault of DOC. Number 7, I said that last year we spent more than $100 million on police misconduct settlements for the NYPD.
Smoke One Kenobi, what's going on? Welcome.
And that number has doubled since Eric Adams became mayor. Just last year, we paid out $150 million in settling police misconduct from NYPD, and that was double the number. That's double the number in police misconduct since you became mayor. Fact check. Last year, New Yorkers paid $121 million in police misconduct settlements, which was up from just $85 million in 2021. And that doesn't account for all of the money that New Yorkers paid in police settlements. All told, the city paid nearly $184 million, primarily for personal injuries as well as property damage, according to the comptroller. 8, I said to Eric Adams that I remembered his trip to DC to go see Biden about the migrant crisis because I remember the trip being stopped because the FBI seized his phone.
I remember you started that tour before you were going to go DC, and when you were going to go to DC to talk to Joe Biden about the migrant crisis, but you were stopped because the FBI had to take your phone.
Good Lord, you just make up stuff.
Did I make that up? That's reported. The FBI didn't seize your phones?
Sister.
The FBI didn't seize your phones?
No.
They didn't investigate your top aides. That's not happening.
What did you just say? You just
I said I remember the tour that you went on when you were going to the border, when you were going to DC to talk
I came back because somebody had to take my phone?
Because it stopped. I said I remember on the day of. I remember it because it was reported.
You got amnesia.
Oh, me and the news.
Fact check. And I don't think this clarification is actually going to make it better for Eric Adams, but his phones were definitely seized in connection with the FBI investigation that was happening then. And his trip was definitely cut short, but it wasn't cut short for the FBI seizing his phone. It was cut short for the FBI searching and raiding his fundraisers' homes. The FBI has actually raided several of Eric Adams' top aides at this point in connection with their investigation.
He made it. He said, no, look that up. You're wrong. You look it up. Like, oh shit, I was wrong. Says here they found 18 dead bodies in your freezer. That you're right. It wasn't. It was way fucking worse. Mr. Adams responded to news of the raid by abruptly returning from Washington, D.C., where he had only just arrived for a day of meetings with the White House and congressional leaders regarding the migrant influx, an issue he has said threatens to destroy New York City. Deeming people in prison or jail undeserving of health care, especially when they have life-threatening condition, just makes it seem like you're being judged during an executioner, which, by the way, if you're a cop, that's exactly what you want, right? And he's like pro cop. This is Mr. Cop Mayor. Department of Corrections shouldn't have the power to say whether a person lives or dies in their custody. Yep.
It was cut short for the FBI searching and raiding his fundraisers' homes. The FBI has actually raided several of Eric Adams' top aides at this point in connection with their investigation against him for illegal campaign donations, which he was forced to admit even in that interview despite his outrage at my audacity to ask him about his federal investigation.
But you were stopped because the FBI had to take your phones.
Good Lord, you just make up stuff.
Did I make that up?
Yes.
Did they search your top aides?
Not that day.
Did they search the home of several
Yes.
people? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I said. And bonus fact, those are not the only allegations that Eric Adams is dealing with. He was also recently sued by a former colleague at the NYPD, a black woman who sued under the Adult Survivors Act. She alleges that while she and Eric Adams were both working for the NYPD, she had been passed up for a job promotion multiple times, she believed, on the basis of her race and gender. So she turned to Eric Adams, who at the time led an organization that was meant to help Black people within the NYPD dealing with discrimination, so she turned to Eric Adams for help. And she alleges that he agreed to help her and told her that they would have a meeting at Coney Island after work one day, but instead of driving them to Coney Island, that he drove to a parking lot and tried to get her to have oral sex with him, and that when she didn't, he relieved himself in her presence.
No.
And tried to get one day, but instead of driving them to Coney Island.
We're not letting him get off like that. No, Sari Bobski. The allegation was made on Monday in a legal complaint connected to a lawsuit that the woman who worked with Mayor Adams at New York City's Transit Police Bureau claimed she asked him for help after she had passed away, after she had been passed over for a promotion. Mr. Adams, who was a police officer, of course, drove the woman, an administrative aide with the department, to a vacant lot and requested oral sex. According to a 26-page compliment, when he declined, he forced her. See, this is different. It's already bad. You know, like, oh, so then what did he do? He beat off right afterwards? No, he forced her to touch his penis and ejaculated on her leg. Okay? I'm not monetized on YouTube anyway. I already got one strike, so who knows how long that's staying on. But fuck it. This is the mayor of New York City. This is Mr. Cop right here.
That he drove to a parking lot and tried to get her to have oral sex with him, and that when she didn't, he relieved himself in her presence.
Yeah, Lead. It just got worse. It just got worse.
Brother,
9. When Eric Adams brought up how the media sensationalizes crime, I said that it's NYPD using their own Twitter accounts to sensationalize crime.
Those random acts of violence are being highlighted. If you have 24 hours in a day, and something that happens to you in an hour in a day, you start to define yourself as that entire day. Those random acts of violence are plastered on social media. They're plastered on
the NYPD
newspapers.
Twitter page.
They're plastered on everything.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's, you know, we already live in a country rife with rape culture. All right, Dr. Midnight. With rape culture, and then now they add on top of it the type of like, you know, hyper toxic masculinity that we see in the kinds of people who are cops, people who either were bullied and now they need they need power, or people who are like, you know, that narcissistic fucking violent type who just, you know, who loves that kind of power, and the idea of being a cop is you know, what gets them off. And then work for a government that pretty much tells you that you're untouchable. You know what I mean? Qualified immunity. Basically, you're allowed to make a statement in court, and that verbal statement by a cop is not weighed the same as a random citizen statement, because cops are supposedly trained in a certain way to where their word has more weight. And this is true. This is by law. They have statements that are allowed to be taken as a statement, and they are not critiqued, or they're not criticized, or you know, nitpicked as much as a civilian's deal. And when you take these kinds of people, that's when you get the thing where you have that underage sex worker who had a train run on her by all these cops. I can't imagine why she would let them do that. I cannot imagine, right? It's not like she wasn't under arrest. In their custody. This is what they fucking do.
People begin to believe that, oh, I'm living in a city that's out of control. We are not.
She made a good point though.
That's-
If NYPD is reposting that kind of stuff, what are we supposed to think?
I said,
No.
I said at the beginning.
Everybody got a phone, brother.
No. NYPD's page is doing this. Has recently been there, so much so that they're arguing with journalists on there. It's NYPD on their own Twitter pages that are posting and sensationalizing crime. And I said this at the beginning.
And for the fact check, you could honestly just go to any NYPD account on Twitter and see for yourselves, or read this entire article from Hellgate devoted to how NYPD uses their Twitter to sensationalize crime as well as harass journalists. But honestly, forget all of that, because I have nothing better than what's happening right now. I think it's very funny that I said in this interview that
In her own Twitter. She said that the Twitter, what she's about to say, I haven't even seen this part of the video. What I guarantee she's about to say is that she said that NYPD goes out there and uses Twitter to sensationalize crime and all that shit. And then right after the interview's done, they said, you know what? Fuck that. I'm about to prove her right.
NYPD uses their Twitter this way. Eric Adams denied it, only for his chief of patrol to get on Twitter and start fucking harassing me. Okay. 10. I said that Eric Adams wants to sensationalize one police murder, which is a rare occurrence, while he has nothing to say of the at least 31 people that have died at Rikers since he became mayor, the at least 7 people that have been killed by New York police this year, including a 19-year-old that had been murdered by NYPD in Queens just a night before our interview after he called 911 for help when he was in a mental health crisis.
Same breath that you want to sensationalize me, want to highlight and point out, an officer was killed the other day, which is a rare occurrence across the United States, but let alone in New York. New York police officers have killed at least 7 people this year, including a 19-year-old. An NYPD officer killed a 19-year-old in Queens yesterday.
I'm not going to dismiss the loss of a life of an innocent person that wears a uniform to protect us.
But you do, of the 31 people dead at Rikers and the 19-year-old killed yesterday.
I feel like I don't want to take you out of context, and I don't want people to all of a sudden criticize that you're being dismissive of a young man being shot and
Adams,
killed.
that's not going to work on me.
I'm not trying to work anything on you. I lost a member of the police department the same way I go to see the mother of an 11-month-old baby that was shot in the head when I first became mayor, and I sat in a hospital with her. The same way I go visit these mothers who lose their children to gun violence, I go see them.
Yes, but not the mothers of the people who are dying in Rikers.
Just as I go to see.
He don't say shit. He does not say shit to any of it. He just ignores it because he knows she's right.
The family member of a slain police officer, I go visit those parents that lose their loved ones to violence.
Are you visiting the family of the?
Do you do that?
First of all, yes, I did. I held a Riker. I represented hundreds.
You went to visit the family member of a slain officer?
No, not the slain officer.
Okay, of course you
did. No,
didn't.
but what about the 19-year-old that was killed yesterday by NYPD in Queens when he called for help? Have you said anything about that? Are you visiting them?
Yeah,
Very few officers die in the line of duty. In 2021, there was a 25-year record high of police deaths in the line of duty. And you know what that number was? 73. Now, compare that to the 779 people police have already killed just this year, or the at least 1,247 people killed by police last year in 2023. Further, at least 31 people have died in Rikers since Eric Adams became mayor. And I say at least because after getting tired of the backlash from the mounting deaths at Rikers, his administration decided that they would stop telling the public about in-custody deaths altogether. The city reported, the change in the DOC's death disclosures comes as the federal monitor overseeing the department has criticized Correction Commissioner Louis Molina, who Eric Adams hired, and his team for failing to properly inform them about a recent death and 4 other serious and disturbing incidents involving harm to incarcerated persons. In a special report, federal monitor Steve Martin wrote he had to rely on media reports, including one from the city about a detainee who had been placed on a ventilator for 2 weeks and is now paralyzed from the neck down after being tackled by guards.
But these are people that just come in and they have health issues already. Remember, right? I mean, these are people who they're old and they're sickly and they come in and they have a heart attack, or they did drugs their whole life and they came in, they went to bed and they never woke up. Like, these are the kind of people that come into Rikers and die. It's definitely not due to violence due to people leaving their posts. It's not due to correctional guards beating the fuck out of people, slamming them on the ground, leaving them paralyzed, leaving them with traumatic brain injuries, or just outright fucking killing them. And not to mention, like I referred to earlier, people screaming in pain, and then when they finally fucking say, "Okay, goddamn, you're over here screaming for hours," turns out we're talking about exploded appendix, and the dude is already an hour later he's dead. You know, that's not their fault.
I said that at least 7 people have been killed by New York police this year.
$1.2 billion a year. That's the budget. Don't forget that.
You can go to a website called Mapping Police Violence that I encourage you to utilize, where they track police killings all across the country. 11. I told Eric Adams that I was aware that he visited Rikers because back in 2022, after a string of deaths, he went to Rikers to lend his support to the corrections officers.
I've been on Rikers Island more than any mayor in the history of the city, talking with inmates and correction officers to turn around what's happening on Rikers Island.
I know you go to Rikers in 2022 and there were 3 deaths back to back because corrections officers left their posts and allowed it to happen. You went to Rikers to express your support for the corrections officer. I know you go to Rikers. I do want you to do, Mayor Adams.
But you keep giving out misinformation.
It's not this fact check. New York One reported that in 2022, after 2 detainees died in custody in a 48-hour period following the death of another incarcerated man earlier that month, Eric Adams held his first press conference at Rikers to lend his support to the corrections officers.
Hey, do me a favor, y'all. If you're in the Twitch side, if you could just do me a quick favor and click that link and go drop a like on the other video that's playing on the other stream side, I would greatly appreciate it. It's free.
Where he said, quote, "I am not ashamed of you. I am proud of you. Keep doing the job you are doing. Beyond the fact checks that I'm presenting to you, I said, you have nothing to say about the 31 deaths. You have nothing to say about the 7 deaths. Nothing to say about the 31 Rikers deaths. You have nothing to say about NYPD murdering that 19-year-old boy. And you know what he said about it? Nothing. So that's your fact check on how much he cares about anybody that's not the police. I think that should be a sufficient amount of receipts that I've provided to y'all. If you are still interested, trust me, that's not the tip of the iceberg on all the things.
Olayemi, okay, Olayemi Olurin. Put the links in the description on the YouTube side. You know, there's no links in the description for Twitch, but on the YouTube side, there's definitely links in the description for her channel for that. For the interview, for the receipts. If by chance you happen to chill here and you don't follow her, which I just can't see being possible, but if that's true, I highly suggest fixing that quickly. I know I said I wanted to talk about black atheists versus black Christians, but I also said I wanted to keep the stream around 2.5 hours. You know, that way I can stream more often. Last week I hit a 30-day record of 4 days in a row, and I'm gonna do it again today. So I didn't stream last night, which means I'm gonna stream all the way through Friday this week. Of course, that includes Nerds of Culture happening on Thursday. We're gonna talk about Ed Polinsky committing apparently. I know we got confirmation that Ed Polinsky is dead. But it is reported that he committed suicide, and I haven't gotten confirmation on that yet. And we might have some hot takes on that. Actually, we might actually have some hot takes that understandably may not be shared by everyone, but that's okay. That's all. What I say, Ed Pisker, my fault. Ed Pisker, the artist who was accused of sexual harassment of a minor. So he was outed by that, and then a little bit later he was not alive anymore. So tomorrow I do want to do an update on what's going on in Israel. Again, they bombed a volunteer clinic. A volunteer food kitchen. They bombed one of those, and then they also did another strike in Al Shifa, a hospital, and one of the few remaining hospitals that's not a smoldering pile of rocks. So I do want to talk about that, but I also do want to talk about the black Christians versus black atheists. That will happen mañana. So make sure you come out here for that. They bombed them 3 separate times. See? Lord. Let me check something real quick. I think, yep. Hey, do me a favor. What we're going to do right now, if you all watch Nerds of Culture, then you guys definitely know, who Cypher is. Cypher is trying to get back together on, get back on that streaming game. So we're going to do him a solid and do a little raidy raid. So go ahead and setting that up. Just go in there, smash the emotes, call him beta, and and tell him I said what's up. I'll be there with you in a second. Again, thank you all for the support. Thank you all for being here. That link to YouTube, that'd be dope if you guys like the videos that are over there, and all that. Let's go ahead and let's raid Chris in Cypher World. He's playing Rise of the Ronin. Love y'all, and I will see you tomorrow.